Hey, it's your boy, producer Mike.
And his new trainer, Alex.
Today we're going to talk about my transformation in progress, what's going on, how I've changed up my training regimen in preparation for the half marathon in October, just all things update.
We're killing it with his new routine.
Let's get to podding. Welcome to 15-Minute Fitness Fix with Coach Kinsley. I'm producer Mike, senior editor for the podcast, and a former client of Coach Kinsley's who benefited from every rep until I heard
3, 2, 1, let's go! Remember to always consult your physician before starting any nutrition or fitness regimen.
We are talking again about my transformation in progress. Client story that I have is one really of being a really fat guy, and over the years through willpower, proper nutrition, proper instruction, proper training, consistency over time, time under tension, how in the past few years I have created the habits so that I can continue to transform my health. And along with that comes a more fit body, more fit mindset, and consistency to fight through the days that I don't feel like doing anything. Well, it's a habit now, so I find a way to work it into my routine. And that's what you do with routine, right? So just an update, after training with Coach Kinsley for about 2 years, she went on to bigger and better things. For the summer last year, I trained myself at home. I got some dumbbells and have an incline bench so I could do different things with a squat rack, bench rack, and I'm just not as successful in pushing myself when it's just me on my own in the basement in the morning. I tend to quit a little early, and then if I'm resting between sets, I'll look at my phone or I'm listening to a song. I'm like, okay, wait, I'm going to wait till the chorus starts and then I'm going to start my next set. Or wait, I'm going to wait to the end of the song and then start my next set. And then instead of resting a minute or two in between sets, it's like 3 minutes, and it's 4 minutes, and it's 5. And then suddenly this workout has taken me like an hour and a half, 2 hours. And so when university started up again, I signed up for the exercise programs available at my workplace, and part of that included personal training in a personal training center. So I thought, hey, that's a good idea. Reminds me of what Coach Kinsley and I worked out, because I had a sort of my own personal training center where we worked out. So it was nice. And so I know in that compact amount of time with the right trainer, I certainly had the focus and the willpower to keep pushing forward. And so that's really what I wanted to do. And it sort of kept me accountable too. No more, wait to the next song between set kind of thing. After training with Coach Kinsley, sort of a dynamic resistance training regimen, which included cardio, which included resistance training, mobility, all of it kind of worked together. I decided to focus on strict resistance training. I was thinner, certainly. I was more fit. My clothes were fitting differently. I got smaller sizes and I had more energy, and that was great. But I still wanted to work on focusing on increasing my muscle mass, on increasing my strength. I went from training with Coach Kinsley in the dynamic resistance training set of exercises I used to do, which included battle ropes and pushing that sled around and that kind of thing, to just push-pull legs, all resistance. And it was using a progressive overload model that Nick was well-versed in. And that's when I really started working on putting on muscle mass and continuing my nutrition, which remained on point because we did a body mass index machine thing where I put my hands in a certain way and stood on this thing and it shot electrodes through my body or whatever it does. And the measurements at the beginning and the measurements 6 months later, or really 5 months later at the end of that, showed significant improvement in both muscle and fat loss percentage. So I was pretty excited about that progress in that time frame. And Coach Kinsley and I also talked about it in coming up with new challenges for the year. And one of them was to really focus on cardio and VO2 max, which you can hear in those episodes as well. With that in mind, and trainer Nick went on to do an internship, I still wanted to do personal training because for me, at my age, where I'm at as far as work and family and home and everything, personal training was really the best option for me to use my time efficiently and get the most out of it. I continued with personal training, and that's when I ran into trainer Alex, who took over for the summer. I went from push pull legs and resistance training to sort of a different mindset. Trainer Alex has joined us on this here podcast to talk about working out with me and kind of the concepts behind, first of all, push pull legs and what that does. And then when she found out about my goal of running the half marathon in October, what she thought, how to change things up to really focus on training for that. Alex, thanks for joining us. So yeah, give me the lowdown. What's push pull legs as far as resistance go, and how does that build muscle as opposed to what we're doing now?
So push-pull legs is great for people who have a limited time in the gym, so people who don't want to be spending 2 hours a day on their workout or don't want to be there forever. It's a great way to introduce heavy lifting and to build strength because it separates the muscle groups into distinct categories so that you have specific muscle groups to focus on that all work together based on the types of movement patterns. So legs is a pretty big category, and that one you can split oftentimes into different muscle groups as well, whether that's, your hinge patterns or your knee dominant patterns. You could split leg days like that, or you could just do overall legs. And legs is great because it has a lot of compound movements. You can build a lot of strength.
So that's actually where I got the most progress in my body mass index was legs. That's where I'd seen the most muscle growth. So that is really interesting. It makes up so much, but I was also got the most benefit out of, even though I hate leg day.
Yeah, it's not fun, but it is really beneficial because you have huge muscles. Your quads and your hamstrings are big muscle groups. So those ones you can see and push a lot harder than some of our smaller muscle groups. In the push part, your shoulders and your triceps supplement that chest, which is going to include a lot of compound movements. That's compound chest. And then finally you have your pull, so that's your back and biceps. Back is a pretty big muscle group, so that can take a lot of time, and then you compound that with a little bit more accessory with the biceps. Helps to take some pressure off of the back, but again, with all of these, you're looking at that big muscle group and then the accessories that help it move in the way that it does. That's kind of the thought behind it. It can be a great strategy to start because you can break out those muscle groups. You only have to do it 3 days a week, and you can supplement doing other things in those other days that you choose to work out. And you're really hitting that 150 minutes of resistance training that's recommended by health professionals at the national level.
What I had chosen to do and had trainer Nick focus on was what I wanted then, getting generally stronger. Let's talk a little bit about what you brought to this. Tell me a little bit about what your background is as far as being a personal trainer and how did you start? Have you always had this in mind when you were doing stuff? Tell me a little bit about that.
My journey kind of starts with my own fitness journey. When the pandemic hit and our entire world shut down, I turned to working out not only as a thing that could help my mental health, but would also challenge me physically. It wasn't something that I was used to. I actually never played sports growing up. So it was a new challenge for me, and it was something that I took up during that time when we were all at home. And, that started with the videos on YouTube that you can find and the at-home body weight exercises. And as the world started to open up a little bit more, I joined a gym. And again, that's when I did utilize that push-pull leg split. So really focusing on muscle growth through there, trying to learn how to push my body in new ways and grow muscle and see changes. So that was something that I was really passionate then for quite a few years before I decided to make the choice to become a personal trainer because I wanted to help other people find that love and passion for fitness in the same way that I did, and to show that lifting weights can really transform your body and make you feel and see the physique changes that you want, especially for women. I think a lot of times women are afraid to lift weights or to lift heavy weights for fear of being bulky, but it really gives people the body type that they desire, and it's so personal and you can do so many things with it that you can get whatever kind of look you want from it.
What made you go from being really interested in personal training to learning about it and then signing up for it and making it your job? You like to teach others or anything along those lines?
It made me feel confident in a way that I had never felt confidence before. And that was such a life-changing experience that I wanted to help other people find that. And I think as I've had the opportunity to work with some really wonderful people and really well-educated folks in the industry, I've learned that our bodies are capable of so much that having and harnessing that power and that ability is something that I wanted to help other people find and actually see the changes in people's lives. And whether that's pain reduction or they're getting stronger or they're seeing the numbers and their clothes are fitting better, that is just a high like none other. I mean, it's amazing. It's wonderful to see people make progress and to feel better and more confident in their skin and move forward feeling cool.
I had felt the same way. I was the one that had different clothing sizes, and Coach Kinsley calls it non-scale victories. Many, many times over the years that I had trained and have been training and will continue to train. So yeah, that's, I guess, a little bit why Coach Kinsley and I started this podcast, started this business venture. Instead of becoming a personal trainer and doing that, because I just don't have, I don't think, the wherewithal and the time to do that, or maybe even the patience, because I'm just so focused on this, that by putting out this podcast, we get to share that with everyone else. And that's maybe that same mindset, like you want other people to feel like this. All the work, you can't cheat it, especially when people see you and you get that, are you okay? Are you okay? Is everything? I'm like, yes, I've just been working my ass off for the last 3 years.
Yeah, it's so rewarding too because we are seeing people at their most vulnerable. We're seeing people when they're pushing themselves to do things that they haven't done before, or they're coming to a space asking for help, which is a huge just honor that we're able to be the person that they're asking for help. And so I think that those are also some of my favorite times. Weight is people's number one thing that they feel insecure about. The way that you present physically is challenging. Being able to work through some of that is also one of my most favorite parts of the job, and makes me feel really honored to be able to do so. Because I love connecting with people. That's the best thing about this job.
Okay, then early summer, trainer Nick's looking for a little help. His client, of many months now, was looking for a new trainer, and you were going to be here for the summer. So you became my trainer. And initially, I talked to you about push-pull legs. You said, yeah, you could do it. But then I was also open to changing it up because I know after 5 or 6 months, you want to sort of introduce maybe some new training philosophies, some new movements, that kind of thing. Because while trainer Nick, we had a varied push-pull leg schedule as far as exercise goes. So then I told Alex about my desire to run a half marathon in about 4 months. And then just take it from there. What were your thoughts on that after I told you that going forward?
Yeah, so my training philosophy now really centers around functional movement. So looking at the body as a whole system rather than just separate areas of the body. So the way that we move and the way that we move functionally often requires multiple different muscle groups that are not working in isolation as you would train with a push-pull leg split. So knowing that Mike was looking to run a half marathon, which requires not only a lot of aerobic capacity, but also a lot of strength, I decided to transition him more to a functional movement-based plan. So I assessed his movement patterns, the hinge pattern, the squat pattern, his shoulder mobility, his ankle mobility, all of these different areas of the body to look and see where we can help to improve, where we can gain a little bit more mobility, and then how we can use that newfound range to implement and continue to make strength gains. So I want to be very explicit that functional exercise can get you strength gains in the same way that any other split would, but it just takes a more whole approach than isolation approach.
And to hear about my new training regimen and to get further deets where I tackle some new exercises, revisit some old friends, and continue to improve my VO2 max to prep for the big race coming up in October. Catch part 2 of our conversation on our next episode.
Thank you so much for joining us today on 15-Minute Fitness Fix with Coach Kinsley. The fun doesn't need to stop here. Email me at coach@coachkinsley.com. You can check out my webpage, coachkinsley.com, and also find me on Instagram at, you guessed it, Coach Kinsley. Your girl. See you next week. Boom.